Hey, it's me, the fucking barbarian dung collector, back at it again. And I'm coming out here with another sort of stream of conscious video. I'm gonna be making the opiate video soon enough, maybe today, but probably won't be posting it today. But I have been looking into how to edit videos better. Unfortunately, it's just a bit difficult for me as it's just not the way I learn super well, especially technical shit. I'm so fucking bad with like technical computer shit and whatnot. It's kind of funny because I'm, at least a little bit of a gamer. I play Team Fortress 2. I play the Vidjama games. I've been around. I know how these things work. But like anything else involving computers, I'm just like, what the fuck? But I kind of wanted to talk about sort of something I see very misrepresented in role-playing games a lot, especially with characters who really want to play up that goody-goody angle, you know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that, but this specific issue that tends to pop up quite often when a player plays a face, the good guy. There's a really mixed up understanding on authority and kings and leadership in a world like Kavagathale, in a world, medieval fantasy or Bronze Age fantasy, what have you, even a nicer world like Forgotten Realms. There's some difference in the way interactions between the ruled and the ruler's function that we may not be used to, and I often run into this issue where people just act like it's modern day America, England, fucking the West, and they treat leaders in that way, and they respond to things in the way people in our lives would respond. And I just think that's really, like, even when people are playing in highly authentic fantasy games, I see this even in really dark fantasy games where they don't really get how the authority works. They don't really get the idea of these strong, iron hand, kind of corrupt, manipulative rulers who often have barbaric tactics, as is the wont and custom of all primitive leadership going back not even that far, back to the fucking party bosses of American politics. That's way more normal than what we have now. You go back to the way chieftains and barbarian warlords did it. Kings were mafia bosses. That's how they worked. But people think it's like this constitutional thing, you're going to have the good king. Even if you have a good and noble king, if he wants to get his good and noble agenda represented, he's doing some fucked shit. He's doing some backdoor deals. He's having people executed. He's doing what he needs to do. All the more if he believes what he's doing is right. Primitive leadership, and I'm focusing mainly on Within the Ring of Fire. Forgotten Realms, certain worlds, it might be a little bit different, because that's like, as much as I like Forgotten Realms, it's kind of Renaissance fair fantasy, as the notorious BLG would say. But Within the Ring of Fire especially, this shit is primal. This shit is it's normal for people to notice that they have the numbers, the weapons, and the resources to conquer a nearby king and do it. Like, they don't even maybe might not even be that ambitious, might not even be a particularly good leader, but they just notice that opportunity, and so they pounce, and they just almost for no reason take over a town or whatever. Because, they think that power is going to lead them to having a more secure life, which is something hard to come by in a world like Kvegathale, and in many worlds similar to it. So you kings, politicians, always got to be ready for that. People don't brook the same sort of disrespect, the same sort of casual relationship that leadership is going to brook nowadays. You can't go into King Bram's castle and badmouth him. You can't even not goodmouth him. If you want to come out of there without any sort of mistreatment or punishment, you better be kissing his ass. And in a different way, the same thing goes for Sea King Eva. It might not be him directly who comes down on you, but if it comes out that you weren't really all that, with it, with the man himself, the cult of personality, whoo, by God, whole wave tongue, if it comes out that you weren't with it with him, lots of people, and that man he's like a celebrity. He's got even non-humans in the city of Firstport in just deific awe of his vocal, verbal, oral musings and ability to conquer with but a word. So you're going to get people coming down upon you, and you know that Sea King Eva has established it like that. He might say, no. Anyone who has something to say may criticize me, may stand against my word, if only they can give a proper argument. But, behind the doors, he's talking to people, he's saying, not that guy. Maybe not kill him, but at least sort him out. And then 6 days later, he's going to be talking, I was wrong about the glorious Sea King. He's crying. He's just so broken from whatever the Sea King's goons did to him. And that's the thing. All these kings are going to have goons. You'll have their guards and whatnot, which are out in the open. You'll have, if they have enough power, knights or mercenaries or whatever. But they also got goons. They got thugs in their employ who are just barely legitimate citizens. King Bram's got his gang of fucking huntsmen of House Bram hanging out in the lodges, ready to air condition you with a moon bow. Sea King Eva's bully boys hanging out around the docks. They all look poor as shit, but you look closely and you can see that fine white hair, and you can see their clean teeth. They're all well taken care of. And we can even move past humans, You can find, the Drottning in Freyaheim has these strong Freying guards who will sort her people out if they don't follow the rules. But people want to play it like it's, like you're like you're dealing with the president, or worse, like you're just dealing with the mayor. Like, people go into the local duke and they're like, you, sir, are a tyrant. You are corrupt and you have wronged these people. I demand you change your ways. Bop, dead. You're dead. All your friends are dead. The Duke found your wife. She's dead. No, even if you hate the Duke, you're not going to walk in and have a conversation like that with him. Maybe on the battlefield, maybe when you're meeting and what's going to be is going to be, then you let him have it. But even if you're an enemy of royalty, of the authority, even in that case, you know how things work. You're going to come correct. unless you're an idiot, and that can be a thing. If you're playing low enlightenment, if you're playing low wisdom, you can do this deliberately. But most people aren't doing it deliberately, especially because most GMs indulge it. Most GMs have the Duke be like, oh, you can't speak to me that way. Why do you say such things? Like, entertain these peasants just shit-talking him. Or they'll play it up the way it should be played up, but then it's portrayed like he's just insufferably arrogant. No, that's what anyone would do in that situation. Even if you were a merciful duke, if you were a merciful, deeply Christian duke in medieval England, and peasants came up and were talking to you, telling you how to do things better, as you are merciful and kind, you maybe privately think about what they're saying, like, oh yeah, maybe. But then openly, you'd have them beaten in the streets for their impudence. That would be the merciful response in a world like this. And you look within the Ring of Fire, when you're meeting up with rulers who are cannibalistic, Mihangi, well, not cannibalistic, but anthropophagic, you think they're going to be any better? They're going to be any nicer? A communal society that works like a perfect machine? The moment you have any disrespect shown towards the Hunt Lord, Hunt Lady, Count, Countess, High Druden, what have you, you're going to be pincushioned with arrows. So again, comes back to the truism, you better come correct. But now about playing these leaders, because I've already gone through ad nauseum how you really have to make sure that, your players are acting like realistic people in the world. Because one more thing I'm going to say on that, even if you're not loyal to them, even if you personally don't like them, in any world with nobility and royalty, as long as you're not their enemy, you're going to be somewhat obedient. You're going to be respectful. You're going to bow. You're not going to talk crap to them or about them behind their back. You're going to show them that reverence, especially if they're your own nobility. Because keep in mind, the British peasants in real life, it wasn't that they all just always happen to like their king. It was that they believe his position was ordained by God. So they're not going to argue with that. So bear in mind, whether or not your character likes your king or duke or whatever, depending on the culture of his people, that might simply not play into it. If you're an ogre, well, there's wiggle room. You look at leadership as being held by strength, and your culture does not say that the leader is ordained. It says that anyone strong enough to take his position can take it. So you're going to be a little bit different. You don't see any kings as legitimately in authority, only in authority by their strength, which I suppose you do see as legitimate. But still, even there, you're going to respect them because you're going to look at it and see that as an ogre, your mindset is going to be, oh, this king can command so much and so many people, even people who do not know him. And, it's like, he must be strong. He must be an incredible badass, and you're going to think twice about taking any action against him. But anyway, on to playing leaders and kings and whatnot, and this is going to go into general politics. When you're a GM, FT, DM, whatever you want to call it, and you are playing any sort of leadership, whether it's nobility, a powerful, wealthy merchant, tribe leaders, what have you, generals, whatever, what you have to understand is that these individuals are not disproportionately stupid, arrogant, selfish, and cruel. They are as much as that as any ordinary people. And they're also not disproportionately wise, kind, reasonable, gentle, and courageous. They are not disproportionately better or worse than the typical person. However, their position makes certain demands of them and puts in their hands things that are not put in the hands of normal people. They are demanded to think about resources, not just their immediate resources, like will I have enough to eat tomorrow, but will a bunch of people have enough to eat in 3 chains? They're forced to think about that. They're forced to think about land. They're forced to think about location, other groups. They're forced to think about a massive amount of people instead of just themselves and their immediate family and friends. They are asked to do all that, and then they are given power over life and death. Especially in a world like Kvegethael, in a primitive world generally, kings, dukes, all that, they had the power to execute people, and they also had the power to send soldiers. To send soldiers to protect. No, I need water. Send soldiers to protect people. So the power over life and death. So they have all this power. And I mean, military generals, especially in a more medieval scenario, they were basically choosing, okay, who here is expendable and who here isn't. Who here am I just going to send on the front lines to get probably mutilated and horrifically butchered, and who am I holding back? Who am I giving the best armor? Who am I giving the best weapons? That is going to be something you think about. And they're not just given power over life and death. They're given control of resources. They're given extra rights, extra privileges, extra things that they can have, and that gets to a person. That gets to an individual, human, ogre, Freyin, maybe not a Mihangi. They're pretty incorruptible, even though they're horrific in other ways. But most species, that gets to them, and no matter how virtuous you are, you're going to get used to exercising those powers of yours. And you're going to get used to justifying it all with your responsibilities. I have to do this. I must. And even the most honorable and selfless leaders will tend to turn to doing pragmatic and often immoral things. But even the most selfish leaders will also begin to, when using it as justification, begin to really believe the responsibilities they've wrapped themselves around. And so leadership comes with a lot of pride. Leadership comes with a lot of belief in one's ability to act. You start to see yourself as better than the others if you're not very disciplined. So many leaders are going to be like this. And then you have to consider, in the way that the leaders kind of think about things, what kind of world it is. If it's Forgotten Realms, and you're dealing with, and you're dealing with a neutral good mayor, just a nice guy running the town, trying to make people get enough food to eat, going home, fucking the wife at night, doing my part, and he's this adorable little halfling, yeah, he can be a nicer guy, I mean, it depends on what's around him. The whole countryside is peaceful and things are nice. Why would he want a big set of troops? Why would he be super insecure? Maybe you kind of make fun of him a little bit, as long as you don't go too far. Because remember, society's still a little more conservative in forgotten realms. So if you're talking like, oh man, Mayor Dilgo, you're kind of a little bitch boy, he's probably gonna be like, well, hold on a minute. Now that's not something you can be saying. You keep talking like that, you're gonna be spending a day in the rack, boy. And be, oh, I'm sorry, Mayor Dilgo. Oh, it's all right there. We all got our flaws. Yeah. Well, Mayor Dilgo's there chuckling, just having a good time. But if we're looking at it within the Ring of Fire, even if you're a nice ruler, let's look at Mr. Dilgo and within the Ring of Fire, you're a hidden merchant who's sort of bought up land in a town and is sort of running the town and is nice, and you're like, yep, I'm an adorable little human. I go home, I fuck the wife every night, run things well, make sure everyone has enough to eat. Well, it's right next door, a tribe of ogres who want to rape the shit out of you and eat you. You know what else is nearby? Fucking the dark forest of fear, where there are Mihan geese who don't want to rape you, but they do want to eat you. And then what else do we have? We have a human city nearby who's like, oh, I want that. Looking at everything you have, just ready to take it. Oh, it's ruled by a Hibben? Okay, this is going to be pretty fucking easy. Just absolutely, I want that land. Yeah. Pelgan. Fuck yeah, motherfucker. Just getting ready, to take your things. And then, that's not all, folks. That's not all. You've also got bandits. You've also got dark cultists, a fucking Kaihea. I'm talking a Jura. I'm talking, depending on where you are, Urkwahali. Urkwahali. I'm talking fucking all sorts of dangerous things, and you're sitting there thinking, well, shit, I'm Mayor Dilgo, but I don't know if I can handle this shit. So you know what you're going to do? You're going to look for safeties. You're going to look for things to protect your people, and that means you're especially going to look for things to protect you. Pretty soon, you're not going to be living out in the dirt and the mud with your fellow people, even though you want to. You're living in that nice stone house, that nice stone manor, where you got guards there, and it's like, your Hibben friends are like Hibben friends, and then the other people in the town are thinking, hey, why does he have more guards than us? And peasants aren't always going to understand that, so then you got to use bread and circuses. You got to use propaganda when it used to be you just get along with these people because you're Mayor Dilgo, the sweet little Hibben. But not so much anymore, And then Mayor Dilgo's sitting there and he's thinking, shit. People are getting a little upset and not liking everything here, and those ogres still breathing down my neck. Then they're humans still eyeing me up, and, well, damn, I don't think those Mihongis ever gonna stop. So what does Mayor Dilgo do then? Well, Mayor Dilgo, he hires a crew of mercenaries, but he's looking for quality and ability to fight. He's panicked, he's desperate, he needs something to protect his land. So what does he hire? A sleazy but skilled band of bandits. That's a decision he had to make, and guess what? He's having to make concessions for these bandits now, giving them areas where they can have, and when his people are like, Mayor Dilgo, these bandits are, why, they're fucking our shit up, Mayor Dilgo. He'll just have to be like, well, can I offer you a complimentary egg for these tribes? And he's going to weasel around that. So then he needs to start making sure people don't complain too much. And maybe it pains him, maybe it hates it. But if he wants to stay mayor of this town, which now he does, because now he's wrapped up into it. Because he's thinking, well, I got to protect them. If I leave, that's the last bastion. Well, shit, I got to help these people. So he's protecting his position. So certain things start being not okay to say. You might find yourself locked up for a few days. He's still Hibben. He's not crazy. Again, we're not talking about an especially bad situation. We're talking about a relatively normal set of circumstances in a world like Kvegathil. So it's probably not going to kill you, but you might get imprisoned, you might get banished. But what else? What's going on? Okay, alliances are necessary now. Who's he going to ally with? Well, you can't ally with the ogres because they don't quite understand that. Well, they're not dumb, they understand it, but really they don't care. They might not even stick to it. Obviously can't ally with the Mihangis. So what choice does he end up with? He has to make concessions to, fucking King Bran nearby, right? And so, all right, shit, he makes those concessions with King Bran. Now his town's paying tribute to King Bran, and he doesn't just have these ruthless fucking bandits he hired as mercenaries. He also has all these knights of Baal, which are honestly kind of just as bad, just as ruthless and desiring of your territory, but far more authoritative and far more sophisticated. So you've got both those groups there now, and he needs protection from the religious problems. So now he's got a Church of Helena there, and now things are getting awkward for Mayor Dilgo. So all the compromises that have had to been made, that's how you got to play a king. That's how you got to play a leader. And I was using the nicest example I could of a kind Hidden just trying to help his people out. That's a nice ruler, not even a typical ruler. Imagine a typical ruler or even one who's moderately cruel. Like, they're manipulative. They run this shit. They make sure everything works the way they want it to. And so to have them be these goodly kings, or to have them be awkward, or to have them not demand you respect your authority, even if they're not nobles, even if they're just merchant leaders invested with wealth and power that they've worked for, they're people in a temple, their God chose them. You have to respect that, even if they're a Lacedarnian. The only exception might be a Sanite, but even if they're, say or a Rizarin would be an exception, but a Lacedarnian, she's going to be nice and kind and sweet. She's not going to brook your bullshit. You're not going to talk to her like she's just anyone else. You are going to bow and you're going to be, holy mother, speak to her politely, or she's not going to entertain your audience. Depending on her rank in the church. And that's true of tribal leaders too. You look orc matriarchs. With orcs, they're pretty blunt with each other. They're pretty straightforward with each other. So they view less things as disrespectful. But if she views your tone as disrespectful, you think she's going to put up with you? No, she's going to lumber away like an annoyed gorilla. Any example you have here, the nobility, leadership, tribal leadership, even family patriarchs. Look at mom and dad, Even when you're a grown-ass man, generally, you probably don't just talk to your mom and dad like whatever, and they would probably be upset if you did. I'm pretty close with my mom. We're pretty casual with each other, but there are ways she expects me to act around her, and I act that way. So in any situation where leadership is involved, things are going to fall in like that, and people just treat it too casually on both ends. So remember, when you're playing those leaders, really sell your authority. Expect the players to sell for you. And when you're the players, unless it's very deliberate, sell for that authority, and maybe you can get involved in it some way. By kissing enough ass, you can play politics. And that's what people are going to be doing. You're going to be respecting the king, sure, even if you don't like him, but you're going to be looking for chinks in his armor. You're going to be looking for dispossessed members of his culture. You're going to be looking for insecurities in the way he speaks. You're going to be looking for maybe you want to work with him, and you're looking for doors. You're looking for, okay, what does he need? How can I climb this ladder? And by doing all that, you establish conflict in the game. That's just as fun if not more fun, in my opinion, than any sort of adventure, dungeon crawl, or big battle. Jostling in this political game. And it doesn't work unless both sides are selling and playing it up in a way that makes sense to the set of circumstances. Because if it's just casual, if it's just real world American interaction, and it's like he's like the king, but you're like treating him like he's the mayor and you're like from the press, that's just boring because it doesn't create that conflict like that. You just get to dunk on a leader like, oh, that was fun. And you can dunk on the leader and that can be really fun, but expect the consequences. I've played in games where I have seen players fucking stick the king in the piece and, then get fucked up by the guards, get killed. But they still enjoyed it because they did what their character would do and the world responded in the way it would respond. At first, they might not like it. One thing you're going to notice when you introduce this concept to your players, if you just play immersively and run the game and let them do whatever they want, but have the world respond to what they do, have their mistakes and successes matter, I guarantee you they will enjoy that way more than simply just giving them an easy time of it or not responding to their failures even though you respond to their successes. They may think they enjoy that more, but they don't, because it makes all the flaws and it makes all the unique aspects of the character seem useless because all they do is win. So that's been a video on kings and politics and authority, and how it can play into conflict in games, how it should be played. I, of course, recommend looking up resources, do research on, ancient kings and old codes of conduct and whatnot. And, of course, apply it to the situation you're in, to the game you're in. It's going to work differently in Forgotten Realms than it does in Within the Ring of Fire. And it's going to work differently in Within the Ring of Fire than it does in say, Lion and Dragon or Vermilion. So you've got these different, just make sure whatever it is you're doing, be deliberate. Don't just, play the king or play people speaking to the king without thinking at all how that would actually go for people in that world. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I love you all. I'm coming for your duty. You cannot escape. I will have all of your shit. And, expect the OP8 video soon. And, fuck you.